There are some 1,000 asylum seekers living here. For the human rights activist Doros Polikarpou, the Punara camp in southern Cyprus is a scandal. The garbage and puddles are the least of it. He's hoping to get a better idea of the conditions. But he doesn't get very far before being sent away. The security guard also says that filming is banned.
This is a place that actually is turned into a camp that is out of control, is not manageable, is expensive, and it doesn't serve the idea that it was set up.
Asylum seekers who arrive here are only supposed to be registered before being accommodated elsewhere. However, there's little accommodation elsewhere, so people end up staying here for months. Outbreaks of violence are not infrequent. In October 2022, dozens of tents went up in flames.
The people, they are isolated. They cannot start already working and thinking of their integration in the society. They just wait day off, day on. They eat, they sleep in very unhealthy conditions, especially if it's cold, if there is rain.
Outside the camp, Polikarpou speaks to a Syrian who is willing to talk about the conditions in the camp, anonymously.
The children won't eat the food here. They're not used to it. The toilets and the washrooms are indescribably dirty, the women's ones too. My wife almost doesn't dare go in there.
The Republic of Cyprus registered 20,000 applications for asylum in 2022, almost twice as much as the previous year. Officially, there are about 70,000 asylum seekers living in Cyprus, which is a lot for such a small country. The government says Cyprus cannot cope, and it's called on the EU to help.
What we need to have in place is a mandatory relocation scheme to help the frontline member states, and B, the necessity to ensure the effective implementation of the principle of responsibility.
For the Cypriot government, the problem lies in the northeastern parts of the island of Cyprus, which are occupied by Turkey. This is where it says most refugees are arriving from, via the ceasefire lines that are only under UN supervision. We decided to travel to the northern part of the island. The Eastern Mediterranean University in Famagusta is one of dozens of universities that fund themselves largely through international students. The numerous private universities here are also an important source of income for the region. But the Syrian student and activist Ashraf Salim confirms that many of those who register here don't want to stay in the Turkish-occupied region.
So they were scammed about the nature of the country because of that. Or maybe they were not scammed, but the result is the same, which is they end up being, for example, with financial issues, perhaps homeless, perhaps just lonely, mental health issues, etc. Then they decide to become refugees.
Richie Mbunga arrived in southern Cyprus via the Turkish-occupied north. Now he is stuck on the island, and it could take years for him to get asylum.
In the first weeks of Punara, I slept on the streets. I don't have a work permit, but I do now get state support of 214 euros, not enough to live on.
Doros Polikarpou says that the Cypriot government is trying to deter other asylum seekers from coming.
You have your rejection letter. Why the other?
We are one of the worst countries when it comes to giving, first of all, protection to anybody else except from those that we don't have a choice not to give them. And I mean the Syrians right now. Even Afghans right now that they arrive in too small numbers in the country, we don't examine their application.
Back in Punara, he meets two very young Somalians outside the camp's fences. One says he's 14 and wants to go to Belgium where he has an uncle. They tell him they don't get any schooling or any other care here. There's nothing to do but sit around and sleep. And they've been doing that for 6 months. Preparations are at least underway for a better sewage system. Cyprus is preparing for more refugees.